What's up guys, it's National Master Dem Apples here, back with another video, and today we are going to be taking a look at the original best chess game of all time. It's so good that they started naming all the best players' best games after this game. And this is the original first quote-unquote immortal game. This is a game between Adolf Anderssen playing from the white end and Lionel Albert Bagration Felix Kieseritsky. We usually call him Lionel Kieseritsky, I think. But yeah, let's see this clash between two titans. Anderssen is the best chess player in the world at this time in the year, I believe 1834 it is, so a while ago. But all the best games by all the best players were named after this game. So we have e4, e5, f4. And it's important to note that in this era, the Romantic era of chess, a lot of players would like to sacrifice material for quick development and attacks. I don't know exactly why players chose to do that. I'm not a master of chess history, but it's just a tendency that players like to do that. Maybe they were fascinated with the idea that chess was art, and you could sacrifice everything to get to the king, as you would in a real battle, even though I wouldn't do that personally. Anyways, e takes f4, and now we have bishop to c4. This is the king's gambit, by the way, which is very popular at the time. Bishop c4 is still a book move, even though it is a stranger move nowadays and back then. Most people go knight c3, but bishop c4 is a hugely popular move still. My friend FIDE Master Austin May plays this a lot as well. So it's a completely sound move. However, it does allow queen h4 check, and you have to move your king. Now, you cannot go here because, well, black is simply going to take you. He threatens check, winning your rook. He threatens to take this pawn. He threatens this check. There are way too many threats. White is absolutely screwed here, so he cannot block the check. So king f1, and now pawn to b5. Again, we still have to remember that even though the computer says it's a mistake, we don't really know that back then, right? And also, back then, players liked to sacrifice pieces and pawns for development. Now, what is the point behind b5? I can only assume that it's if bishop takes b5, bishop to b7, and black gets some development right away. That wasn't played. So bishop takes the free pawn, knight f6, good move, attacking the pawn on e4. Knight to f3, attacking the queen, so now that the knight cannot take the pawn. And now, queen to h6. This is the best move. Both players have been playing pretty well so far. And now, pawn to d3. This is a little bit questionable. I mean, it's definitely not a bad move, right? You're unleashing an attack against this pawn and protecting your own pawn. But generally, we like to develop our pieces. So knight c3 is just a bit better, defending the pawn. And additionally, instead of moving the pawn up one square, we are preparing to move it up twice, right? Where we control a larger portion of the center. Nevertheless, d3 is still a perfectly fine move. We have knight to h5. This is very questionable. So first of all, we have to understand and realize that black is making the one move threat of knight to g3 check, right? Forking the king and the rook. If white does nothing, right? Knight g3 check. You can take this, but then queen takes h1, right? And black is winning the rook anyways and is quite a bit better, actually. You have to go knight to g1, and this is kind of sad. So, well, Adolf Anderssen, being the best player, did see this. Now, there are multiple ways to deal with this, and he chose one of the weirdest. He played knight to h4. This does stop knight to g3 because you would just take this free knight. And yeah, you can't take the rook anymore, right? Because now the knight is blocking the queen from taking it. However, as the old German chess saying goes, a knight on the rim is dim, and these two knights are no exception. This is a very confusing game, and I'm like, what is going on here, right? Better is the simple and strong move, rook to g1, just getting the rook out of the danger zone, I guess. From there, white can probably move his knight to a better square, more centralized square, probably develop his pieces, force the knight backwards, take this pawn, and yeah, the rook is actually pretty strong here. Facilitates some possible g4, g5 pushes as well. Alright, we have the move queen to g5 after knight h4. Queen to g5 is sneaky, but again, as you can see, Kieseritsky is still just making one move threats that don't really do anything. So, well, obviously the bishop has to be responded to. Anderssen chooses to do this by blocking the queen's vision, and now we have the move c6 attacking the bishop. The reason why the c pawn isn't exactly the thing you want to move when you're attacking the bishop is because, first of all, you take away the c6 square from your own knight, but second of all, no, there's no second of all. Well, the second of all, right, usually your bishop goes here, but now you've just kind of blocked your own bishop. So, c6 isn't really a very productive move, but it's definitely not a bad move either, right? Black's idea is probably to go pawn to d5 next, and c6 supports this, unleashing an attack against the knight. But as you can see, g4 is played. Apparently this is a blunder. And so white's idea is simple, right? You take me, I take you, right? So danger levels, right? Now his knight isn't really attacked. Now, white had a much better move here. I mean, not a much better move, honestly. He could have just moved his bishop back. I mean, keep it simple. There's a saying in chess, KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. Just like, bring your bishop back, right? But these are romantic chess players. They want to be creative. Pawn to g4. Now, obviously, en passant is forced, and black would lose his queen. I'm just kidding. En passant is not forced. It was a rule at the time, I believe, but they did not play it. So, we have the move knight to f6. Yeah, obviously black could have taken, and after takes, we have a very interesting game, right? But the thing is, white's going to try to take this pawn, so a move like queen f3 would make a lot of sense. Bishop f4, knight c3, knight d5. And even though white's pawn structure is weird, it's pretty easy to play from the white perspective, I would say. You have a pretty easy plan of just getting in with your knights, and you'll take this pawn. And maybe you'll go rook g1 to put pressure on the king's side. Black doesn't really have these ideas, and he's kind of in a pickle here. But we have the move knight to f6, getting out of danger. G6 is a little bit better, though, as white does have two pieces hanging, and you only have one piece hanging. So that's amazing, right? After takes, black is a bit better. White has to respond to this. We're going to be slamming through in the center, and maybe on the king side trying to checkmate white. Who knows? Anyways, g6 also, if the knight goes back, well, we can like fianchetto our bishop and castle. So this is pretty nice. This is not played, however. We have knight f6, rook g1, defending the pawn. Very, very simple chess. Second of all, is white not just hanging a bishop? No, he is actually threatening something pretty sneaky. So if takes, right, there's pawn to h4, and now the queen is in a little bit of trouble. Queen to g6, and we realize here, right, that black is up a piece, and h5 is played. But, okay, queen g5, right? And now queen f3. We're realizing that even though black is up a piece, pretty much all his pieces are on the back rank, so they don't really count. Now, to be fair, pretty much all of white's pieces are also on the back rank, so they also don't count. But black's queen, if you look at it, right, it's practically trapped. It has nowhere to go. And so black is essentially playing without his queen. Now, if black can get his queen out, black will be completely winning. But for now, white is essentially up a queen for a bishop. So queen f3 is played. Very simple move, right? White wants to take here, trapping the queen. Wow, I know the queen is trapped already. Knight to g8 is played. Very natural move, though, honestly, trying to get the queen to safety. Bishop takes pawn. If it's free, it's for me. Queen f6. And now knight to c3. I don't know why this deserves an exclamation mark. It's literally the most simple move in the position. Developing a piece. Knight d5. Next is probably coming. Maybe knight takes b5 as well. Bishop to c5 is played. Black is finally developing his pieces. It's honestly hard to suggest a move for black here. And you'd be like, okay, like where did this all go wrong? Well, black took the bishop, and now his queen basically got trapped, and he didn't really have any moves. I mean, the engine is calling them inaccuracies, but to me, they are very human moves and very natural. Knight c3, bishop c5, attacking the rook. And any normal person plays, well, something that defends the rook, right? d4 is a very creative way of defending the rook, because if bishop takes d4, knight d5, attacking the queen is going to move, and then it can't defend the bishop anymore, right? So we can just take this one. And even though d4 is the best move, we have knight to d5 right away, which is perfectly fine. And now queen takes b2. This is why it's not so perfectly fine. And these are the moves that made it the immortal game. We have a few blunders before the fireworks start. Bishop to d6. Yes, bishop d6. The engine on low depth says this is a blunder. My browser engine still cannot comprehend this position, but it is equal. White just blew his entire advantage. Yeah, he could have kept it simple and won, but no, he has to go out in style. So first of all, bishop takes rook is played. This is just an error. If you're just a normal guideline when you're playing chess, if you can take a piece with check, you should probably do it, right? And there is a free rook with check. You might wonder why white did this. I'll show later. So if you take this rook, right? In both scenarios, you win a rook. But in this one, you didn't really win. I mean, you didn't win it with check, right? So you lost the tempo. But bishop takes g1. And, yeah, say if queen takes a1, the position is equal, but it's very complex. King e2, queen b2. I mean, with the help of modern-day engines, we have some analysis. Takes with a fork on the king and the bishop. King moves. Queen takes bishop, queen f4, and the position is very balanced. And you might say, well, why? Like, black is up 9 points. Yes, but his king is getting demolished, and all his pieces are in the back rank, so they don't really count. White has a lot of threats here, including, but not limited to, knight c7, knight d6, knight g7, etc., right? And queen e5 especially, right? And knight d6 is a huge threat. For example, if a6, queen e5 check, king d8, knight d6. Threatening knight takes f7 checkmate. Black is screwed here. If he moves the knight to defend checkmate, he hangs another checkmate. So basically, black is in trouble, but the game is really balanced if black plays accurately here, right? For example, f6, right? Controlling e5, and black is not fine, but it's just an equal position. Anyways, back to the game. Bishop takes g1 was played, and now pawn to e5. This position is still equal. Now you might be wondering, what does pawn to e5 do? And what does bishop to d6 do? So bishop d6 does take some squares away from the king, as we note, right? And e5 shuts the door for this queen to go back. Now knight takes g7 is a possible threat because the queen cannot take the knight. And so, well, this obviously hangs another rook. So black is up 13 points of material. But all of his pieces are on some sort of back rank. After king to e2, black has no more checks. And all of a sudden, it all comes crashing down. Black is greedy for material and sees knight c7. Oh no, he's going to win 5 points back. Not like I'm already up 13 points, right? But he gets scared. He plays a very natural move. Now, the best move is bishop to a6. We will see why. And after knight c7 check, king d8, knight takes a6. Black is still up 10 points. Material, don't get me wrong, but white still has a huge attack and is a bit better, apparently, with a lot of threats. Bishop c7 check, knight d6 check, blah, 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 taking the rook. White's going to win back a lot of material here. However, after knight to a6, right, defending against this check, white makes the moves that will make this the immortal game. I encourage you to pause the video and try to find white's combination for yourself. Alright, it's been a little while. I hope you paused the video. If you didn't, that's okay. We have the move knight takes g7. So first of all, we should go over, okay, this is why white played e5, right? Now, queen cannot take here. King d8. Queen to f6, check. Just checking the king, right? The king has nowhere to go. If knight to e7, this is checkmate, no? Unfortunately, this hangs a queen, but not so unfortunately, bishop to e7 is checkmate. Down 21 points of material. This is why it's called the immortal game. You're down 21 points of material, but you still win the game. So, a beautiful game by Adolf Anderssen. They started calling every game, like, an immortal game after that. Like, Garry Kasparov's immortal game, you can see that one. I might do a video on that. That was a pretty cool game as well. But, yeah, white sacrificed all his pieces, checkmated down 21 points of material, only had 3 pieces left. Now, I'd like to show that bishop a6 does not lose to the same idea. For example, if knight takes g7 here, right, king d8, queen f6 check, takes, Bishop e7 is not checkmate because the king escapes. But nevertheless, a beautiful game. A lot of errors along the way, but that's how great games are played, right? Both sides, you have to make mistakes to have a beautiful game. So, I hope you enjoyed this game. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.